Welcome, everybody. This is the Glacier Gamble podcast, and we got some exciting stuff to talk about with you today. We have a top three Marvel show of all time to discuss with you that just came out. If you haven't seen it, it's called Echo.
So you're saying that Loki WandaVision 1, 2? Is that what you're saying? That's the
Maybe for
consensus.
maybe
That's
for
the
most people,
consensus. Yeah.
it's I personally I didn't enjoy WandaVision as much as most. I still think WandaVision is a very good show. I'm not saying it's a bad show,
Right.
but
The
I would put
things they
WandaVision
did
around
was
four or
very
five for me,
sure. Yeah.
especially with
Okay.
episodes 1 and 6 of WandaVision. For me, were just like, oh, good show. It wasn't my personal. I think a lot of people are skewed towards Scarlet Witch and Elizabeth Olsen
Well,
to
she
the
is the most popular female Marvel hero, so
right.
that makes
It's kind
sense.
of that. But you have such a wide bias, a wide group of fans, so biased towards her that even if the show's not as good, they're gonna say it's really
Yeah,
good.
I'm just so thankful I'm not in that mix. Just so happy
Well, and I think
that
that's gonna happen with Agatha. Like it was a show spinoff from WandaVision,
sure.
so it's going to be received better than a lot of shows that have been coming out because of that, because it's
Sure.
attached to Scarlet
Right.
Witch,
It's got Aubrey Plaza in it too, which
which
will be
I
a
like her a lot.
success. And then it's got Joe Locke. I
You know,
think he can be
Catherine Hahn,
playing
obviously.
Wiccan. Yeah. So yeah,
And like
I'm
Multiverse of Madness wasn't a super great movie, but
right.
everybody loved it at first. Like the first initial
Right.
reaction was this is awesome because, Scarlet Witch. It was
Right.
all about Scarlet
Yeah.
Witch.
The main disappointment for Multiverse of Madness, kind of we're sorry going off on a tangent here, but was that the hype for it was more than what the movie was.
Yeah.
Like the hype was like we're gonna get every cameo possible
You called
in
it
this
Multiverse of Madness when it really was just multiverse of kind of
838. Like,
kind of
yeah,
okay. Yeah.
yeah, right.
But I say Echo. Echo is what we're talking about today. I think it's a top three Marvel show for me personally because of story writing, everything that if you want to go based off like a
So what's
critic,
your list? Obviously, Loki won because
Loki
Loki
is
one was peak.
Loki.
But
Loki
so
season
I'm
one and
curious to
two. I'm gonna
hear.
combine them into
Sure,
one.
I'm curious to hear what your number two is because it's competing with like Moon Knight,
Yep.
which is really good.
Yep.
You really like Miss Marvel.
I did.
Um, and I think like Werewolf by Night even
So Werewolf
is
by
in
Night I
there.
consider a movie, not a show.
Okay, it was just like a one episode thing, but
Yeah. Yeah.
sure.
So you did list what I would put at so the hard part for me, so I would probably put Echo 2.
Okay,
Echo would be my number 2.
sure.
Right behind Loki. My number 3 would either be Moon Knight or Hawkeye.
Okay,
I would probably like the more I was thinking about this last night because I knew we'd probably talk about it.
sure.
I would probably put Hawkeye, and I'd be willing to put Hawkeye at 2.
Okay,
I know a
I can
lot
see
of people
that.
weren't as like huge fans of it, but in terms of story writing, um, not stealing the focus from the character that the show is supposed to be about, which was both Kate Bishop and
Clint
Clint.
Barton. Right.
I think that show did an incredible job, and I don't know. I think Hawkeye doesn't get its praises enough.
Sure.
So
I think Echo, you could even kind of so since you like Hawkeye so much, you can kind of rope Echo into
mhm.
it
Yeah.
because it's straight up like
Well,
within a 6 month span
Hawkeye
of
did
that.
the something other shows haven't done with camera angles. Stationary camera in a car chase scene was a very interesting choice. I really liked that. It wasn't pitch black for the whole show, which is why I would probably maybe put it above Echo because there were multiple points of Echo where it was the lighting was they took a page out of Sony's handbook.
I see that. I think with um, street level heroes, especially like the martial artist kind of street level heroes, you get a lot of at night because that's where all the crime
Yeah,
happens is at night. So
which,
I see
just
that.
because it's at night doesn't mean you don't want the audience to see what's happening.
Sure.
I think if I could send a message to all Hollywood directors, producers, especially Marvel or superhero ones, just turn the brightness up. We understand it's at night. We understand.
But
So,
we can't see.
but
Yeah.
I can't, like, I had to turn the brightness all the way up and it still was dark as
Right.
hell.
Yeah, sure.
Especially like the train
Dark
scene in
as
Echo.
Hell's Kitchen. Just dark
It
as
just as dark as Venom
yeah,
1, as
yeah.
dark as every Sony movie,
Every
every
Bat
Spider
DC
super,
movie.
yeah, darker
Yeah,
than Suicide Squad and Bat. It
right.
was so
Yeah,
dark.
sure.
It doesn't need to be that dark. But okay, so rambling on, we can let's just say I think Echo was top 3. You could argue with me that it's not, like, you could argue anywhere between 2 and 4. I'm not gonna be mad about.
Let me
For me
mention
personally,
one.
it's probably 2.
Sure. Let me mention one thing in regards to it. A lot of people are griping on it because of the fact that the ending did seem rushed.
It did.
And let me just let everyone know here, it was originally scheduled for an 8 episode season. So that being said, if you could have stretched the plot out a little bit more in an 8 episode
Mhm.
season, and I think it would have done a lot better. Even Loki is 6 episodes, so
The
like,
episodes felt rushed, as well as you don't even have to go with the number of episodes. The first episode was like 52 minutes, and then it was
sure,
50 or 48, and then it was like 48 or 46. And then
right.
the last 2 episodes were 38 and 35, or
Which makes
38
me
and
believe like
36.
they had to kind of wrap it up,
Yeah.
kind of. So,
Which, the strikes were going on.
sure,
It could be for any various reasons. I think the biggest thing is that they rushed Echo's abilities near
yeah,
the end.
yep,
So there will be some spoilers here and there. You're probably not watching this unless you've already seen it, but there will be some spoilers here and there. So if you're not looking to hear spoilers, we'll try to do a warning, but this is kind of your warning. I thought the show overall did a really good job of, like, painting the creation of Echo. This, like, our MCU's Echo. This was how you want an origin story to be. They call this is the first Marvel Spotlight. So this
sure,
is the first Marvel Spotlight project where this is Marvel is focusing on story-based content as opposed to action, cameos, and those sorts. It is
right.
meant to be a story.
Sure. It's
I
supposed to
thought
be based on like a unique, kind of not off the wall, but an atypical hero
right.
or villain. I said, well, is it? Just a spotlight, so it could be a villain as
Well, and she
well.
was kind of like a
But
true anti-hero.
right, yeah, she was bad before she was good. She still does. She does the right thing the wrong way, and I
Right.
think that will still happen because she's willing to get a little dirty.
I don't know if it'll
Too.
necessarily happen again in the future, considering how they ended it, where
Sure.
she basically told her mom, who came back in the afterlife, that her mom told her no more hurting, like no
Right.
more pain.
Right.
So took her personal pain away, but it was also to me like a message like no more killing.
Right, sure. You're not
So
ruled by him anymore. Right.
right.
Sure.
So for those who didn't see, we did tweet it out. They didn't have episode 3 titled on Disney Plus. They also didn't have a description for episode 3. So I am here to provide people. Episode 3 is called Tuco. Each episode was titled after
An ancestor.
the
Yep, yeah.
ancestral lineage of the um, matriarchs of of her family. Yeah, of
Choctaw.
the Choctaw. Um, so it was Chafa, the original, the one with the looked like almost like mud
Right.
covered with body markings and all that. Then there's Loak, Tuco, Taloa, followed up with Maya
Sure.
for the finale, which I thought was great. I loved that idea. It kind of was like chapters of a story,
Sure.
which that was kind of my reaction on Twitter overall. Was it the show felt like it didn't feel like a superhero show. It didn't feel like a street level superhero show until the final episode.
Sure.
It felt like like you were watching a visual story, which I was hoping is their goal of spotlights. If this is how every spotlight show is going to go, that's this. So this, maybe it's going to sound crazy. This is I didn't want to throw it out early, but
Just
um
let me have it. Just let it rip.
this is the closest thing we've had to introduction and backstory of a character since Iron Man. This is the best creation story backstory of a character we've had since Iron Man.
I could even throw like Black Panther in that same
No, okay, yeah, Black
mix
Panther
too.
too.
Um,
Sure, Black Panther you can
because
put in there as
because you
well.
see
But
Um,
this felt like that phase again,
sure.
getting back to Marvel to where people truly enjoyed it. Like you are
Right.
creating this character and you're seeing where she's gonna go. You're attached to this character, and her, Alaqua Cox, and every person, actor involved was phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually think my favorite, well, okay, so my favorite episode was probably the first one.
Okay.
Like the very first episode right off the rip. I thought the whole, and granted, I know a lot of people were looking forward to the Daredevil part. And that was one of my favorite parts of the entire show because from Maya's standpoint, she has no idea what the hell's going on, right?
Right.
No idea. She shows up to this place and there's all of a sudden some dude with horns and he's beating up the people that you're beating up
And then trying to
and
beat
then he's
you up.
beating you up and you can't stop him like he's whooping your ass. You have no idea what's going on. So
Yep.
I
She doesn't
thought,
know that he's blind.
right, she has no idea.
Yep.
And so and then all of a sudden Kingpin is like, you did the best that I've ever seen someone do. But my favorite part across the whole storyline was when Maya and Wilson Fisk just when they got so upset that they showed their emotion. I thought they both did a fantastic, if not like the best job of being like going like over the top. Maya's character or Maya, like when she gets very like upset because she's angry, and then when Kingpin gets upset when he's angry, it's two different like things, and I
Hmm.
just thought it
And yet
just
had
blew me
such
away.
similarities, which was the
Right,
point.
right.
Yeah, both Vincent D'Onofrio and Alaqua Cox both did a really, really good job about emotional portrayal in this movie or the show. They did it super, super
I
good.
thought
I didn't care
that
too much about Daredevil.
right.
I think
No,
they did a
and
really good
I
job of
thought just
making,
that
yeah,
little bit was
that
perfect
was a perfect
because
amount because it was not supposed to be about Daredevil. It's not supposed to be about Kingpin. This was called Echo. So
right.
people were upset that there wasn't enough other stuff.
It
It's like,
showed
it's called
that
Echo.
it showed that Wilson Fisk used her to not mess with Daredevil, but like stall Daredevil in Kingpin's plans.
Right.
It just showed mainly that he was using her.
He was using her to stop his current biggest foes. He was using her to
Right,
try to stop Ronan. He was
right,
using her to try to stop Daredevil.
right,
So he knows how valuable and strong she is. He tried to have to use her against the people that were giving him the most problems.
right. That he couldn't deal with. So
Um, One thing, so we've been mentioning, might as well continue talking about it. I tweeted it. I wanted to mention, give him his proper dues. There was a couple other people on the show that just killed it, and it was Chasky or Chask Spencer, guy who played Henry, her uncle.
sure,
I
yeah,
thought he stole every scene he was in. Like even
right,
when he was on the screen with Alaqua Cox, obviously she was still doing a great job, but he did so good.
yeah,
Good enough. I said he should get best supporting actor for this
sure,
for a streaming series. He did so good. I almost
yeah. No, I
forgot that he
agree.
wasn't a main character.
Right,
He was very good. Obviously, Graham Greene. We had some other people that did very well in their roles,
sure,
but I thought he was like screen stealing worthy level.
sure. Yeah,
Um,
it's amazing that like just like some of the you go there for the main characters, right? Like Echo, Kingpin, and like some of these other oddball characters you just love. So
and
I
BJ
think that's
Novak
awesome.
talked about it one time that people are afraid to say the main character is their favorite. Like his example, whenever you say who's your favorite character in The Office, it's lame if you say Michael Scott. Who's your favorite
Sure.
character in Walking Dead? It's lame if you say Rick Grimes.
Yeah, everyone says Daryl and everyone likes Daryl, but Rick
Right.
was my favorite character. So or
Right. And people are
Negan.
always afraid to say that main character because, oh, that's lame to go so mainstream.
Right.
But obviously, Echo was the best character throughout this whole show. One thing besides the acting, so we talked about the lighting. Lighting was a problem in this show
Sure.
at night. Every
Right.
other time I thought they did a really good job. They didn't do anything like artistic like John Wick style with it where like when John Wick's losing in the fight, they'll do like red lighting in the show. And maybe
Sure.
then when he starts winning in a fight it turns blue.
Sure.
They didn't do anything like that, But they did, do the laser scene, the laser tag scene, the fight in the roller skate arena, those sorts of
Yeah,
things, the train. They did do different lighting. I thought at night it struggled, in the daytime it was fine.
sure.
But one thing where they blew me out of the water was audio. They opened the whole show itself, episode 1, dead silent. First time
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know if we've
that's
ever seen the logo outside of Black Panther 2, but even then there was still an ambient noise because
sure.
they were honoring Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah,
I can't think of another time it was dead silent. I
yeah.
thought my headphone was like muted. It was
Sure.
the Marvel popped up in black and white because that's what they do for the street level, and it was dead silent. And I was like, hell yeah,
Yeah,
they're
no, I
putting
think
you
that'd
in
be
it.
sick. I think they have so many opportunities to have these fights where like you're from Maya's point of view, and
Yeah,
then all of a sudden you start coming out into the scene and it zooms out, and then you start like getting the muffled fighting sounds until eventually it's like
like her first
full
kill.
blown.
Her
Yeah.
first kill, they had the song that it's not that they did great song choice throughout the whole show.
There was one song that was on Madden in
Okay,
this one, and I was like, I know that song.
but
I'm throwing touchdowns.
I really like the song "Pretty Waste." What a waste of
Sure,
a pretty that song
sure,
that
yeah.
was on during her first kill scene.
She
And
snapped the guy's neck. Is that?
yeah, well, they
Yeah,
started it like just to paint people a picture of how well they did audio for this show. They started the like a low level sound of that song, and they were like continued the scene. The fighting started, and they picked up the sound a little bit. But then, as once the fight went from the three of them versus everyone, and it was just Maya versus the one,
sure,
the guy that she eventually kills. It went quiet to the point where you could hear heartbeat,
right.
and then you could hear both of their heartbeats. It was her plus the guy she was fighting. You were hearing two competing heartbeats as she had him. Then she
I bet that you Daredevil could have heard that same thing, like
right.
too. True,
Then she snaps him. Then
right,
his heartbeat goes away. You just hear her heartbeat, and her heartbeat's still fast.
right,
And then you hear her heartbeat slow as she's starting to like, I did it.
right,
Like I've done it. I can kill again now.
right.
And
Sure.
then it goes, takes that away, and the song just, oh, what a waste of
Right.
a. It just goes
Yeah.
back into it, and I like even now talking about it, get like my hair stands up. So good, and that was the whole show. They would cut away from it. They'd get quiet, like you like this is what Maya kind of hears is either muffled or nothing. Looking like maybe be confused, and then it starts and the sound kicks in and the music kicks in and it just like
Sure.
throws you in like it
Sure.
was no subtlety at all. It was really, really well done.
I
And
think
that just immerses you into it.
sure. I think one of my favorite things was that Vincent D'Onofrio got to act more like Daredevil's Kingpin than he could in Hawkeye. I think
Yeah.
Hawkeye, kind of had to be he had to act a different way as Kingpin, but in
Hmm.
this one, you get like like where he gets very aggressive and he gets worked up, and you're like, oh God, what's going on? And then he kind of has to relax and get
Even
himself.
his two-handed double fisted swing
Yeah,
that he does, like you only
yeah,
see Kingpin do that. That's like his
yeah.
signature. He does a double
So
fisted.
yeah, so you got to see some of that when like you get upset, and I was like, this is like it's terrifying at like while he's doing it, and then you get like he calms himself back down, and that's something that like Vanessa, like his love
Hmm.
from the Daredevil series, which they are recasting, by the way, which means it goes back to our last video where we said that the actions of Daredevil and the events in Daredevil take place, but I still think they have opportunities to recast the other defenders and anyone else in the series because they are recasting Vanessa. So
Okay.
um that's just a random tidbit, but
Um, I think Daredevil or Kingpin was it was nice to see a more of what you expect from Kingpin.
yeah,
You
yep,
also got to see Vincent D'Onofrio actually act out what you wanted to see from him, as opposed to
right.
Hawkeye. He was too restrained. You
He
didn't really get the
was
true him. He
he
was
had to like
too parental. It
yeah,
was it was
he
weird.
had to he had to kind of fit this mold of like, oh, I employed Hawkeye's mom or like Kate Bishop's mom, and we're kind of in a spat, but at the same time, like
It was
I'm
kind of like
just
how you're supposed to have how Echo views him
sure.
was kind of
Yeah,
how I felt like we were supposed to view him, like not scary, not intimidating. Like
right,
intimidating is as much as he gets,
right,
not truly scary.
right.
But then it's like, no, he's
This
scary.
this one, he was very much like he was in the Daredevil series,
Any
where
scene he was in, you thought he might kill her or kill
yeah,
someone.
yeah, he's that intimidating, scary, where it's like you don't want to be in the same room as him if he gets mad. So
Be scared of anybody that offers you the chance to kill him.
yeah, right.
Well, I've been gushing over it, talking about all the stuff I really liked about it. Um, let's get into one thing that we've asked. We talked about it in our what if video. We
Let me
talked
hold on. Let
about
me
it.
squeeze one more thing in.
Go for it.
Because I saw this. I saw this, and it kind of trails into it's a Kingpin Daredevil thing again with the timeline that this takes place in. It essentially because Ronan was still alive, which means he was Ronan, so it was during Infinity War. Kingpin didn't get snapped. Maya didn't get snapped. Daredevil didn't get snapped. That's something that a lot of people have kind of said it, on Twitter, and they want to kind of start that off in like Daredevil Born Again, where like you're Matt Murdock and you're just walking down the street, you hear people's heartbeats, you hear the breathing, and then all of a sudden you're blind, you don't know what's going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Thanos snaps happen, he starts hearing heartbeats disappear, people screaming, he would have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
And I think that would be like terrifying to see from like Matt Murdock's point of
Oh,
view.
yeah, that would be really cool to get
So,
his point of view.
well, point of view, but I mean, I saw that and I just wanted to like clarify from a timeline perspective, Daredevil did not get snapped.
Okay.
So,
Well, and
yeah.
so before so the consistent thing that people disliked pretty much was the final episode. Before we go over that, that's the one thing I wanted to talk about next. Since we're on Kingpin, the post-credit scene was,
Mayor Fisk.
yeah,
Yeah.
Wilson Fisk is going to be running for mayor and win it. Like
Yeah.
he's a mayor in the
Yeah.
comics in at least one of the series.
And it goes right into kind of like not the leaks, but like what they thought the synopsis of what Daredevil Born Again would be. And that is he's going to become mayor of New York, and then he's going to ban vigilantes. So no more Daredevil, no more Spider-Man, no
No
more
Echo.
Echo. Like he's going to ban all these people from being able to stop crime because he rules crime, but he also owns the cops. So
Right.
like they made that a statement too. They made that
Reward the
evident.
cops, punish the vigilantes, and keep the crime going would be just
Yeah,
like it's a perfect mix of keeping him in power and keeping the cops happy, which then keeps him in power and protected.
exactly.
And then keeping the keeping the criminals happy,
Keeps
which
him in
then keeps
power
him in
again.
power, keeps him
Yeah,
happy. So the Mayor Fisk, obviously he didn't run for it. It was just a clip of him watching an interview talking about the type of person New York
they need a
needs.
heavy hitter,
A
someone who's
heavy
willing
hitter,
to
a
throw some
brawler,
punches. Yeah,
somebody who's going to just come in and take action. Okay,
yeah,
well, obviously that's going to be him. He wouldn't
right,
be leaning in. They wouldn't focus on that unless he's.
right.
I think that's if they're going to lead directly into Daredevil with Wilson Fisk, Kingpin being
Mayor
elected.
Fisk. Yeah,
Um,
agreed.
but so that was post the finale.
Right.
That was the only credit scene in the show. The finale itself, again, we agree. It felt rushed. If I were to say one negative thing outside of the lighting, the one negative thing about the show was the very, very, very rushed finale, including
Right.
a questionable decision.
Yeah.
One thing with that questionable decision, if you watch our what if video, if you watch our previous Echo video, the one thing we have requested about Echo is please buff her. We talked about please nerf Kahuri if she comes into live action.
Yeah.
For those, so they're both Native American, and there was apparently a resounding response of, do we really need two Native American leads, especially female, of Kahuri and Echo? Do we really need
Sure.
both? Well, the voice actor of Kahuri responded with "fuck off." So
Good.
That is our
Yeah.
response as people that now have had more than one comment on YouTube as MCU supporters. I'm
Right.
gonna just ride that and say, I second her opinion.
Right.
Yes, I want both Kahuri and Echo, especially with how good that was. Kahuri's introduction, probably the best episode in What If.
Right.
Echo, one of my top favorite shows I've seen. So
Sure.
yes, I want both.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, I think the more characters, the spotlight, the Marvel spotlights in general,
mhm.
like they showcase a character, and so like that Marvel did that so that everybody can see what this new character that has never like been in the spotlight has to offer, and so people who are upset about that, that's the whole point of the show. Like the whole point of the show, the whole presentation from Marvel is to get this character the spotlight they deserve. And so if you're upset with there being too many characters, why are you watching this? Because that's the whole point of Marvel Spotlight.
yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. That's just baffles me sometimes.
People's responses shock me. Like sometimes I forget that that certain people actually exist in this world. Like, why are you upset about MCU
Yeah,
at
people
all?
who watch something, they watch the whole like
Hate
season,
watching.
and then they'll be like, "This was so bad."
I don't understand hate watching. The
Yeah,
morning show I listen to on the radio every day, there's a couple of guys on there that like one guy admits he hate watches, like he can't finish a show even if or he has to finish a show even if he hates it. And then he
sure,
ends up hate watching the rest of it. I can't imagine wanting to do that.
sure.
I've not enjoyed multiple shows, just stopped it. Why
Yeah,
would you subject yourself to something you don't like
I've,
female empowerment? Then just don't watch it.
yeah,
That's fine.
yeah,
It's okay to not you love Marvel, but you don't love the direction it's going. Well, don't go to the movie, don't watch the show, and that actually tells them that they shouldn't be doing what they're doing. If you watch it, that's just going to tell them, I'm going to keep doing this.
right.
I'm going to keep watching it and going to these movies because I like it. I like
Yeah,
buffed Miss Marvel. I love buff Miss Marvel. I loved
sure.
buffed Captain Marvel. Like, not, by the way, for those of you who may misheard, not buffed, as in stronger than their comic version,
Enhanced.
enhanced.
Right,
And Echo is somebody that they have made better than her comic version.
right,
Yes, she has like abilities in the comics, but for the most part, she's kind of like most street level where it's enhanced physical abilities, nothing metaphysical
sure.
or, or supernatural, whatever you want to
Right.
call it. But now they've given her the kind of metaphysical or supernatural abilities that her ancestors had. So her mom had the ability to heal minor things or heal emotional wounds. In the show, she heals a woodpecker. She can go into people's memories and kind of like overcome.
Try to heal those
Right.
events, right? Sure.
So now she has that ability. She tries to use it on Kingpin. He gets very upset, doesn't really seem to
Yeah, he's
help.
like, "What did you do? What was that?" Like he's just very confused, which you would be if it takes you back to when you were like 12 years old and
So
were
it's a
like,
TVMA show. That would have, when he said, "What the hell did you do?" That would have been a perfect time for your one fuck.
right, right,
What the fuck did you do?
right,
Imagine Kingpin
right,
saying that would have been like, even it's one word to change.
right,
That would have been so much more like a
right.
really send it home.
Sure.
But she tries to use it on Kingpin, doesn't really seem as successful as it could have been.
It takes him back to I imagine the moment right before he goes and kills his dad or kills
Yeah,
his father or whatever.
right
So,
before he is gonna go take the hammer into the other room and beat him
yeah,
senseless. Yeah.
which they show that event occurring in the Daredevil series with the small boy and just covered in blood and
Yeah.
he's just holding
I'm
the
glad
hammer.
they
Like,
I'm glad they didn't do the paint on Echo like she is painted in the comics,
sure,
but they gave her a suit anyway,
right,
a handcrafted suit that actually looks culturally appropriate.
right.
I thought they did a really good job of that. I don't think the war paint's
I think that
necessary.
was rushed to the
I think that
costume.
was rushed as well. It
Yeah,
felt unnatural for her to just,
it
I'm
did.
gonna wear this.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
if
that,
why
yeah,
it would have made more sense for her to go to the powwow and then decide at the powwow to put it on.
right.
The fact that she
Yeah.
just showed up and she was in the middle of the dance, right? It was
Yeah.
just, what happened there? Why did she choose to put it
Yeah.
on outside of like her mom showed up and told her what it was?
Yeah.
It doesn't make
I
sense that she
agree.
put it on right away, even though it's a sick outfit.
Yeah.
Did not feel natural.
Yeah. That's just
Um,
the final episode. You know what I mean? Like they
yeah,
stretched episode 5 was probably, it should have been like 6 episodes, probably.
it should have been 6, and then I think
Um
they could have gotten everything they wanted to go across because they focused on making it like a visual story. Putting in those things that might seem mundane to people, little details like that about why she may have chosen the difference of showing her put it on at the powwow instead. That adds more to it. It doesn't take away from it. You don't need to rush
right.
it. The other thing they gave her, so they explained she got cunning, so she's more intelligent than the average person. She got that from one of her ancestors. She got strength and ferocity from another ancestor. And they showed that in her ability. Her She punched somebody and they went flying.
Right.
So she kind of has like super strength, super smarts, not like super smarts the level of Hulk and Iron Man,
Right.
but when it
Shuri,
comes
stuff like that.
to
Yeah.
combat, she
Sure.
has super smarts. And then which is similar to the comics where she has like a taskmaster ability.
Sure.
And then her healing. Obviously, they might show more in the future, but for the most part, that's the extent of her powers, which is still
Sure.
more powerful than her comic version. And
Right.
she can give those powers to other people,
Her people.
to her people.
That's what I'm like, in like her tribe, her
Choctaw, yeah.
the Choctaw, yeah. So
She can give
yeah.
that, she give it to them, which she gave to her friend Bonnie and her grandma, which then her grandma uppercut somebody into a roof.
Yeah.
Again, that moment completely
That's where
rushed. She
that is
got
the
these
only
abilities and
part.
gave them to her family, who then immediately also know how to use those abilities.
Yeah. I would have rather the grandma and Bonnie, or grandma and her cousin. Bonnie's her cousin.
Yeah.
So I would rather them not get the powers and just beat the hell out of beat up some guy by themselves, like
Yeah.
a
The
team
guys that all
thing.
forgot that they had guns.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
another thing about that final like fight scene for me. She abilities immediately taken over in the costume that she just decided to wear,
She
and
takes out easy like 12 guys.
that all had guns, and not a
Yeah.
single one of them tried to use them on her, even though Kingpin already made it clear he's okay if she's killed.
Yeah.
That was
And then there was 2 more with Bonnie and 2 more with grandma.
also holding them at gunpoint.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
final fight scene and lighting were the biggest.
One other the pacing of when they were at the bowling alley. I thought when the group came and there's like 10 guys, 12 guys,
Yeah,
and they're like split up and find them. How big is that bowling alley?
huge. Well, the skate rink, laser tag. I kind of
Yeah,
imagine
but
like one of the like a Chuck E.
it
Cheese.
was a while though, and they couldn't find where they were. Like they couldn't
Yeah,
find where Maya was. And
it
I
was.
thought that was like that didn't make sense. I was like, you haven't found them yet? And they're all just like in that roller rink place. Like, do a 360, go check the rooms. Like,
Yeah.
she's not skating around here. I don't
And for
know.
those of you that got upset about the show not being violent enough, that episode was plenty
Yeah,
violent.
yeah,
The
that was
dude who gets
pretty
killed
brutal.
there and his like head
Well,
is
first episodes, the guy's like, Kingpin thanks you for your service, and the guy's just like, and like it shoots like through the neck, and the blood splatter behind
Yep,
it.
we see
So
the
like,
blood splatter of the ASL interpreter later on. We
yeah,
see her with a glass shard through her leg. We
yeah,
see the dude choke up blood all over himself and then
yeah, that
hang
was
upside down.
yeah, with his eyes open,
So if you
staring
don't
at
think that's
Bonnie.
TV
Yeah,
mature, then go ahead and let like an 8-year-old watch that for you.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
tell me you don't feel like it's mature.
Wait till Daredevil Born Again when Punisher comes in. That was a small piece of what you're about to see.
And that
And
was also the most continuous one-shot fight scene was her to versus Daredevil.
yeah, that's Daredevil's staple now, man. They
Yeah.
did like a 7-minute hallway scene in Daredevil that was a continuous shot and it was brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Like down a stairwell, they did like you're filming all that and the camera guy's like this, like the people have to like dodge the camera guy. It was awesome. And those like that's like Daredevil now, like the
So
Daredevil staple. So.
since we only have a couple minutes left, I obviously give this show I'm putting it like 8.5,
Sure.
probably what I'd give it, which that means I enjoyed it about as much as I enjoyed, obviously comparing a movie versus show, so it's different, but that's about an equal enjoyment level as like Black Panther,
Sure.
Spider-Man No Way Home, and
Yeah, I think WandaVision we gave like an 8.5.
right.
I think we're in that range.
I want to give it a 9. I just don't want people to be so pissed, but
Sure.
whatever. 9. For me personally, it's a 9.
Okay. I would give it a, just for the fact that and if Marvel's watching, they rushed it. And I don't
Yeah.
want I want them to stop doing that.
Stop
So I'm
rushing
gonna
it.
give it a 7.5
Yep.
because I don't think the story, I think they did the show in 75% of the time, if that makes sense. So 7.5.
Which if you average both of us out, that's like an 8.
Because WandaVision wasn't rushed. So
And
like,
currently online, it's rated about a 6. So
yeah,
I
no, I
think
mean, I
that's
really
harsh.
enjoyed it.
I think 6 is too low. My own personal 9 definitely is too high.
Sure. I'm right in the middle of that. So
Dude, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I highly implore people to watch it, even if you don't think it's gonna be for you. Give episodes 1 through 3 a try,
sure.
especially 1 and 2. Give it the good old 2 episodes. If you don't like it after 2, you're probably not gonna like the rest because the first 3 episodes of the show were the best
Sure.
of the show.
Yeah.
Joe's favorite was episode 1. My favorite was episode 3.
Yeah. Or maybe it was 2. I don't remember. I
They're
thought, yeah. Yeah, I
But
enjoyed them all.
let us know what you think. Comments, like, follow, subscribe, social media, all that good stuff. Happy to be back. Glad we could talk about this because I loved it.
GG.
Don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma make hella sure that I don't become you. Have no regrets, yeah, I'm tired of my chest. I'll never forget what it's